Good morning and welcome to
Morning.
another episode of Daddykirbs Live here on the Daddykirbs farm. This is a great time for us to get together and share in community. Just share our stories because here on the Daddykirbs farm, we believe that everyone has a story and every story counts. We do share our story every Saturday. I like to share stories of others. For example, Kate has a lot of great stories, and her story overall is very fascinating. And then last week, you can catch up on that live show if you weren't here, where Drake was sitting with us, and she has a very interesting story of being basically the queen of pollinators. She is the butterfly lady, and she answered a lot of great questions, so go check that out. I am very interested in your story as well. Over time, I'll get to know you, and we'll be able to share more, and our stories will overlap, and we will encourage each other and make our lives better. So thank you very much for being here. I almost forgot. I need a microphone. Did anyone hear that intro? Audio should be just a little bit better. We have a nice little breeze here this morning. I have my tripod set so I can turn this a little more easily, but I gotta dial it down so it's not just flipping around, so we can get the... Uh-oh. Harry's doing his duty in the background.
Uh-oh.
Poor Harry. Didn't know he was doing it live. Hey, Luke. What are you doing, bud? He's focused. He's doing something else. All right. Let's get this situated and get this show started. Now, the idea of this show in particular is that we're going to answer some questions. Kate helped me go through some of the questions on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else, and we got some questions to answer. I also have I held up in my thumbnail image a picture of seeds because we have something. Turn off my phone. Is there something? I have it on airplane mode and on silent. Are we hearing something else?
I don't know. I just told her if you turn off your phone, we won't have a show.
Yeah, my phone is what I'm doing my recording on. Let's see. Typically, when I have it on airplane mode along with the everything silenced, it should be okay. So hopefully we're okay. But we're going to be talking about some seeds, and that's a steaming thing, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's get started this morning. First of all, Kate brought me a gift. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That is, now what'd you call it?
It is homemade refrigerator pickles.
Refrigerator
They're
pickles.
bread and butter.
Bread and butter. So these are the ones that you don't can. They just go in the refrigerator. They have the vinegar and stuff in it, so it ferments a little over time, but is preserved in the vinegar water. It's got onions and peppers and cucumbers. Is that it?
And that's it.
That's it. So pretty.
And spices.
And spices. So pretty. Can't wait to eat those. But we're going to leave it in the refrigerator for another 24 hours at least.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I made them yesterday.
Good. They look fantastic.
I wish they weren't floating up so high, but that just happens.
Yeah, it'll be okay. They'll be good. They'll be a nice side dish to bean burgers and other vegetarian sandwich options. We've been doing a lot of the vegetarian stuff. I'm going to move this out here.
Amaponian is here this morning.
Hey, Amaponian, good to see. I haven't seen you yet in the show, but Kate says you're here.
And so is Samson Carrasco.
Let's see who is here. This is a garden.
Oh, and there's
Trish,
Bazooka
the
Dark.
Music Well, Huffy, Madison, Beastly. Some of these people I'm not sure that Amaponian, good to see you. Deborah, Cheryl and Gerald, Xavier, Allotment Life. Wow, this is a great group already. Floriolda, V. Sorry, I messed things up. Sanson, Rakuza. Wonderful. It looks like there's probably a few people in from the Venezuelan group that I participate in.
Squirrel.
Squirrel, first squirrel of the morning, 5 minutes in, and it is Ronald. He said, darn you, Blake, had to order a scythe. Nice. I hope you told him that Daddykirbs sent you. I get nothing for it, but just for fun. Did you order it from the Murugget company, the same company that I got mine from? Because they really were very helpful on the phone, very kind. I think it's a smaller company, I'm not sure. Hey, Mysterious is here. 38 Kim Possible. Yes, okay, so Ronald, you got yours from the same company. That is so cool. The tool feels really good. It's lightweight. The blades feel good. So I just need to learn a little technique, but I think it's going to be a good tool here on the show. And Sandy showed up. And if I missed anyone, there's 34 people here. I know I haven't said hello to 34 people. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate you being here and sharing this time with me. So, and I pause sometimes because I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. And that's not, if I were chewing gum, I'd be in trouble.
Yes, you would.
Because I just walking, chewing gum, reading, talking all at the same time. Drinking tea. Trying to remember what I'm sitting here for. You know, there's just too much going on.
Samson Carrasco. It says best regards to the lady who babysat Michael Jackson.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know anybody even remembered that.
That's her.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey Ronald, when I bought my scythe, one of the reasons, not only was their price, I didn't look at too many companies. I think I looked at 3 different companies. But the Murugget company were the only ones of those 3 that took PayPal. And I don't have a lot of money, you know, from our normal family budget that I can throw at things like that. It was $200, I think, for the scythe. But the Patreon money that I get, the patrons that give me money through Patreon, that money all goes into my PayPal account. So that sits there for me to need something, whether it be audio, video, you know, camera equipment, or a special tool for the farm. And that's what that fund is for. So thank you very much to my patrons who support me every month. You help keep this show, literally help keep this show rolling. I'm gonna have a hard time this morning. I think my teeth are loose.
You may need some coffee.
I may need some coffee. This, in fact, is not coffee. I've been drinking hot tea a lot lately. You know, just reasons.
You've had a second squirrel.
Second squirrel?
Trish.
Trish, wow, matching Ronald. You guys are a little competition there. Trish, thank you very much for being a wonderful supporter of the Daddykirbs farm. You and Ronald both are amazing supporters of the farm. I truly do appreciate what you guys do with your squirrels and other forms of support. A lot in the encouragement. All of you that show up here and carry on in the chat are very encouraging to me, and that's very important and very valuable to me. So thank you very much. Oh, Florial V, if I'm saying that right, is Inspiration, saying that wrong too, on Steam It, and one of my Venezuelan friends. It has been a true pleasure getting to know the people who are joining together in the Venezuelan group that I formed on Discord. Gathering there to encourage each other, to share each other's Steam It posts, to share in votes, or however else we can share with each other to make each other's lives better. I'm the only one person in the group that is not from Venezuela, and that's by design, because it is truly a group for the Steam It users of Venezuela to come together and build community with each other. And I'm just kind of there trying to help facilitate, spread some votes around, and seeing how we can help each other. So I'm actually working on learning a little bit of Spanish.
Wow.
And I say a little bit because it's only been a little bit. I mean, I'm trying, I really am trying to learn the Spanish. I took Spanish in high school and college, but never really learned because there was never really a reason to learn. It was just
You didn't
a
live
class.
in South Texas.
I lived in Indiana.
Right.
There was no reason to it was just a class I had to take, and I think I got a C.
Yo hablo español un poco.
And I un poco even less. But I'm learning, and I appreciate my friends in the Venezuelan group. We call it the VF group. It's Venezuelan Friends, and they're helping me with some of the Spanish, and hopefully I'm helping them a little bit with some of the English.
The noise they were talking about earlier, thinking it was your camera, is a low beep that comes on, and it's not here, and I think it's something on the net or at YouTube, because I noticed it in a couple of the live shows before.
I have obviously not heard it because I don't often re-watch my own live shows. Only occasionally do I re-watch a live show when I remember there was something somebody said and I have to go remember it. And
I try and re-watch all of them.
Do you? Wow, thank you. I sometimes when I'm at work, I'll hang my earbud and I'll just work and listen to it because I know there was something and I just can't remember where in the show.
Right.
But often I don't go back and watch them.
I don't think it's a text message, folks.
Yeah, it's not. It shouldn't be my phone making noises.
And my phone's turned off and on the ground, so it shouldn't be bothering everybody.
Yeah, if there is it a constant noise or just occasionally?
No, it's just an occasional beep, a real deep pitched one.
Well, I do have my phone turned to silent, so.
Oh, and this is a garden says it's only happened on the last 3 or 4 shows, so it's something that's recent.
Actually, I had my phone on vibrate, so maybe that was a problem. So I just now silenced it, so hopefully we're okay with that. All right. Ronald throwing out a challenge there. Who will match Trish and me? All right. Okay, let me see if I can get caught up. Let's start answering questions here in just a minute. It's been a great intro already.
And a wonderful day here.
It's gorgeous.
Cool. It's lovely.
Yeah, we're so far not in the sun, so that's good.
Yes.
The sun gets real hot real fast. We're in those days now in South Texas where it's going to hit 100 every day, probably for 60 days in a row. Maybe not. That might be an exaggeration, but it's going to be a long time. And since we started so early...
Until mid-July.
Yeah, typically we don't, at least my memory is we don't hit hundreds until mid-June.
Right.
But we hit it in May. So it's June now, and we're going to be in the hundreds for a while. Unless we get just one special day where we get a cold front of 98 degrees, right? Where a storm might move through and drop the temperature just a little bit. Trish says, muy bueno, Blake. Trish, do you speak Spanish? I might need some extra help. And Ronald says, I think that the double beat means you're not paying attention.
Blake, Luke is coming to join us.
Luke, are you going to come in? Hey, Luke, can you grab that little white bench and bring it and sit between Kate and I? Luke's going to join us for a minute. I'm always ready to change the show just a little bit to let Luke or any family member come sit in the show as they please. So those of you who ask often, how is Luke?
Sit right there.
This morning.
I can't get this chair moved over any further.
Can you step over that?
There.
We'll try to get Luke in here without having him fall all over the place.
There you go.
Luke is here.
Good to see you this morning.
Look, there's you. There's me, there's you. All right, so a lot of people often ask, how's Luke? If you're new here, the very brief story of Luke is that he is my special needs son. A few times he ended up in the hospital with pneumonia. Recently, he got out of the hospital with pneumonia and came out of the hospital with a feeding tube. So now our lifestyle has changed just a little bit because we're feeding him primarily through the tube. He does get some pleasure foods. He still loves his green ice cream. He eats the green ice cream and salmon patties almost every day. But primarily his calories and nutrition are coming from the formula that goes through the tube. So Luke is actually handling the tube, all of the adjustments that come with the tube. He's handling that very well. And we believe that his overall just demeanor and the way he looks, everything is improving. I mean, look at him. He's gorgeous. Aren't you gorgeous?
Yeah.
Luke, are you gorgeous? Oh, he's humble and shy. He really is a wonderful young man, and his life since the feeding tube in some ways has become a little harder because we have to manage that. I think he's done.
Get out.
He's done because
did
Jennifer just pull up?
Thank you.
His massage therapist just pulled up, and he's... I wouldn't want to miss that either. So, yeah,
A lot of folks have said he really, really looks good.
he does look much, much better.
And he looks like he's gaining weight again, and his skin is healthier, looks like he's more hydrated.
And that hair.
Yeah.
But he is gaining probably 2 or 3 ounces a day, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but every night when we weigh him, he's just a couple ounces more than the day before. So he's getting up to the point to where he's still not where we think he should be as far as weight. He's still a very skinny young man, but part of that's genetics. I was quite the rail when I was a young...
I was going to say, you're not exactly heavy now.
I feel heavy now, but when I was younger, I was very, very thin, and Luke just takes
and
that.
His mom's not all
Yeah,
that
his
heavy
mom,
either,
his
so.
mom was pretty thin too. So, anyway, so he's got genetics that make it very difficult to gain weight. But now that he's on the feeding tube every day, and he's getting a certain number of calories every day, he is doing much, much better.
Kim says the calories are showing well on him.
Yes.
A lot of good comments on him.
I'm gonna have to...
Kim says the same thing happens to Amber when she is on her tube.
She perks up and gets looking better. Yeah. Yeah, Kim has a daughter that has a lot of similarities to Luke. And I'm going to miss a lot of your conversation because I'm going to scroll through. I did want to mention, I meant to mention this in the beginning of the show, but one of the advantages of mentioning something later in the show is that the people who are here probably actually care. Instead of those in the beginning of the show, sometimes people come and go in a hurry. Not you guys. Not you guys. But I released a video this morning on the normal YouTube channel, and it was about scything the grasses and weeds in the bee yard. So go check that out. And the reason I actually intentionally made that before the show, it released at 7 this morning. This came on at 9. And if you haven't watched that already, I want to encourage you to go watch that and share it. Not so much because I need your views. I do need your views. But the challenge is right now that creators on YouTube are especially challenged with getting views on their videos. And if you do not, I might have some of the numbers wrong. But I was chatting on the phone with my buddy Will from the Weekend Homestead yesterday, and he was sharing with me that there's a thing that YouTube is doing to where if you don't get 1,000 views on your video in the first 48 hours, then your video basically stalls out. They don't help promote it or share it at all. So a lot of the times, that's why some of my videos lately are getting 500 and 600 views, because that's what I get in the first 48 hours, and it's done. And that's all I ever get. So all new videos, I need to come up with a strategy to help my videos get over 1,000 views in the first 48 hours if I want that video to actually have a life on YouTube. So I'm asking for your help. watch the video, comment on the video. That doesn't help. It just makes me feel better.
But thumbs up on the video.
Thumbs up and comments. And then share it. Share it on your Facebook. Send it to a friend in text message or whatever. Whatever you do to share the video. Because I need to get as many views as possible in the first 48 hours. And that's not because I want 1 million views on each video. I do want 1 million views on each video. However, what that does is it just helps that video actually have a life on YouTube instead of stalling out and being done and nobody ever sees it again. That's for all of your favorite creators, not just me. If you have a creator that is, you know, they're getting only a few hundred views and then it's done, it's probably partly because this new YouTube thing is making it very difficult for those videos to go on and have a life past 48 hours. So, help them out.
One thing I was wondering about, could it help your views if you only release videos, say, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so everyone knows to look for a video on your timeline on that day?
Yes. If I were good at schedules, that would be wonderful. It is true that if you have a regular routine, a schedule of videos, that it helps your channel because your audience knows that. And for a while, last year, I was being pretty good about that.
Yes, you were.
And I broke routine, and I've been out. Most of you know I've been out of the YouTube video creation game for weeks, a few months, and I'm trying to get back in. So, but now I've done 2 videos, one last week and one this morning. So, thank you for watching the one last week, and I look forward to seeing your comments on the video this morning or later today. 41 people here. That's fantastic. Yes, Liz, I'm way behind in chat, but I see you made a comment about Luke talking a bit more. He is perking up and using his voice a little more. I think as Luke, he has a lot of sensory issues and aversion to using his hands and his mouth and his throat. Because of sensory issues, so he hasn't wanted to talk, and I think the healthier he becomes because of the nutrition, the more he's going to use his voice more, and that's really, really cool. I love hearing Luke's voice. I'm missing, oh, there's a all caps. Ronald, you had to put that in all caps. He says, you're young compared to me, but not nearly as handsome. I'm sure it's true. I'm sure it's true. All right. Scrolling through. Let's chat about these seeds, and then we'll get into some of those questions that we put together. One of the main questions is, I know you're dying to know, how can you get a hat just like this? Kate has a hat. I have a hat. Several of you, my moderators, and some of you others have hats. So if you don't have a Daddykirbs hat, how can you get one? That's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked. They are available. I have a small number made up in the house right now. So if you will contact me through however you need to contact me through the YouTube message, Facebook Messenger, email. Wheatree Bonsai often puts up my email for hats. Then we can arrange getting one to you. They are $20 plus shipping. And that does help the Daddykirbs farm because it gives me a little bit of money to put in the bank so that I can continue creating here on the Daddykirbs farm. And you get a cool hat. And you get to take pictures in cool places with your cool hat.
I'm not certain of the translation on this, but it looks like Samson Carrasco is asking about maybe buying a hat. I really can't. I don't speak enough Spanish to tell.
I'll have to check that out in chat afterwards, but yes, shipping to Venezuela, I'm not sure yet. I know I've been talking to Amaponian a little bit about that, and we'll get that figured out. But he says he's translating right now. All right, so let's talk about these seeds. So on Steam It, a lot of you this morning are Steam It friends. There is a traveling, they call it a seed carousel, which is a box of seeds that is going around the group of people. And this seed packet has gone through the homesteading group on Steam It, and it's now in my possession. So I'm going to be taking from this seed carousel. It's kind of an interesting thing. So somebody puts a box of seeds together, pardon me, and maybe they put a story in it or a note, or they write on the envelopes of the seeds, and they put it in a box and they ship it to someone with the idea that that someone who gets the box will take some of the seeds out and then add their own. And the box kind of takes on a life. And then it will go on to someone else and someone else. So everyone gets a chance to take a little bit and add a little bit and keep sending it on. So it's kind of a fun thing. This is the first, I think it's the first seed carousel. No, maybe the second. Anyway, it's the first one on Steam It. So I'm going to be taking from this seed packet, and my shipping is going to be so cheap because it's going right over there. And then Kate, I know if you're in here, Robert, we talked about you getting the box, and you're going to, because Kate's going to send it on to you, Robert. Is he here this morning? I haven't seen him. Okay. So I haven't hurt his feelings because he's not here yet. I'll hurt his feelings later. But no, Robert and I, Under the Kilt Farm, or Kilted Gardener, talked about him getting the seed box, and he's going to. But it just makes a lot more sense for me to include Kate right here. After I take what I need and add something to it, I'll hand it over to her, and then she'll do the same, and then send that up to Kilted Gardener.
By the way, Sanson is translating what you say into Spanish for the live viewers in Venezuela.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I just thought we need to add, if We Tree Bonsai is interested, she could jump in on this box thing too and just ship from me to you to her to Robert, just because of the shipping's cheaper as it's closer. But if she's interested, there's a lot of people that I think it'd just be fun. It's not because you're going to get a lot of amazing seeds out of this. It's just fun to participate. I'll probably take a packet or two. I really like the packet of seeds that people write like a little story on it or something. Like, let's see, I think there was one in here. Yeah, so Q-Berry from Steam It says that cut shorts, it's a bean. I quote from my Aunt Sarah on the bottle of seeds, Shirley Phillips gave me these beans. They are called cut shorts. So it's just kind of a fun little story connected to his family. And so I'll probably be taking some of those. I won't need all of these. And then I'll tape this back up, leave the story, and they'll go on to bless someone else. I gotta figure out what I'm adding to the package. I'll probably slip a Daddykirbs sticker in there for someone.
There you go. Ronald is pushing for a giveaway, and I told him, no, my hands haven't recovered from last week.
Yeah. Oh, so I need to toss my cookies. No, not my cookies. Just kidding. Oh, now you're gonna hear darling Darla with her snorty. Here, Darla, come here. Come here, Darla. Come here. Oh, this is darling Darla. Darling Darla can't keep her tongue in her mouth, and she snorts like a pig. Actually, worse than a pig, because
she growls.
She has a little growl, but I think it's more of a snort.
Hello, baby girl. Hi.
Snort for everybody in the microphone. There you go. Her poor little tongue won't stay in her mouth. Oh, Darla.
Madison wants to know if you still have the pig. I don't see it.
We do have the pig. The pig is very happy here. I don't really want to keep the pig forever, but she's here, and we made a mud hole for her. She has She has a very nice place to hang out. She has a mud hole to be in, and she gets fed every day, so she's loving life.
Why does that not surprise me? Stray animals wander up,
I
and you give them
know.
a great home and take care of them.
I know.
If I
and,
were stray, I'd wander up too.
we need to quit doing that. I'm just enabling the homeless population.
That's right.
All right, so we're going to toss. No contest or no giveaway associated with the tossing today. This is just for fun, just for practice. So whenever Drake or anyone else comes back, I can beat them in the toss. Whoa! All right, let's see. That was one. Whoa! On the board.
Got it on the board. Yep. Right
on
next
the board.
To it.
All right, so I need to go a little harder.
Oh,
Whoa!
it's leaning on the hole.
Leaning on the hole.
Nope.
Oops.
Nope.
4 on the board. That's not bad.
No.
All right. 5 on the board. Look at that.
6 on the board.
Oh, that's it. That's all I got. No, oh, wait. It fell in. I got 5 on
All
and 1 in.
right. Very
Yes.
good.
Yes. All right. Drake's going to have to get her own board at home so she can practice. And
Tim says it's like that at his house too, and the animals will wander up, get a good life.
Yep, I'll bet they do. I bet they do. Hey, Wheat Tree Bonsai, I have only practiced in front of you guys. I've never set out here on my own and thrown those. I've played regular cornhole, you know, without camera and not over my shoulder, but not in this fashion. So, yeah, good stuff. Fun stuff. And thank you to Tim Turner, who's in the group right now, because he made that board and donated it. This was back in 2016 when we had our farm day.
Yep.
Our one and only farm day that I really was hoping to become a regular annual event, maybe even, is it biannual or semi-annual when it's twice?
Semi-annual.
Twice a year. That's what I was hoping for, but it didn't happen. So anyway, thank you, Tim, for the board. It has given our family and lots of visitors to the farm a lot of really good times. So thank you very much. How are the horses today? Which leads into the questions.
Yeah.
So here's the question part of the show, because before the show, Kate helped me put together a bunch of questions, and there are some regular update type questions. And so one is, how's Luke? And you got to see that. How are the bees? That's a very common question. And the bees are doing really well. I didn't get into the hives this weekend yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to. But I did, like you saw in the video this morning. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go look. Did some scything, cutting down the grasses and weeds and flowers in front of and around the beehives. And the bees are coming and going and looking really good. So I'm hoping that they're doing great. The mesquite trees are starting to flower, putting on lots of pollen, and that is a good sign for the bees, because what that often means is that they start a honey flow, or it helps boost a honey flow. They're going to be making a lot more honey because there's a lot more resources, and that mesquite honey is yummy. So what were the other, how are the horses? Did I answer that one?
You have not answered that one yet.
I don't see them out right now, but Maggie and Teo yesterday or the day before got a really nice spa day. A couple of the girls had the horses, they were out cleaning them up, giving them a bath, and painted their hooves, very pretty colors, and also did a little painting on their hair. You know what girls do, they like to paint stuff. So yeah, the horses are very well loved and very well taken care of, and they're looking very, very nice. Teo has put on a lot of nice weight. When we first got Teo, maybe because of the stress of the move and all that, he lost weight a little bit, and he was looking a little thin for a while. but now he looks really, really nice. So the horses are doing great. Let's see, that was bees and horses, and the pig is here and happy. That's another one.
Garden.
The garden. How is the garden? Man, I have really dropped the ball this year in sharing the garden with you guys. I have shared some on Facebook, Instagram, in the family group, and on Steemit, but I haven't done any videos about that this year. But the garden is actually looking really nice. Now we're getting into that part of the season where the garden's going to stop looking nice because it's getting hot. But right now I have been able to harvest. This is the first year in a very long time that I've been able to harvest squash and zucchini without the vine borers killing them.
Very good.
My plants have lived and produced. I've collected, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 squash or zucchini from each plant, and I have 4 plants.
Mine still haven't. They're blooming like crazy, but so far all the blooms have been male.
Really?
I've had no female blooms at all.
Wow, that's a bummer.
I've got three plants growing out of one 5-gallon bucket, and I've had no female flowers.
Wow. Yeah, see, this has just been, but no vine borers, right?
True.
This is just one of those years. Maybe they took a vacation. They can stay away. I'm fine with that. Those are little critters that get into the vines, in the base of the vines, and they eat them from the inside out and basically kill your plant in a hurry.
Okay. Ducks. How are your ducks doing?
The ducks are, well, I think they're doing fine. They look like they're good. They make a lot of noise, always. Actually, this morning
they make wonderful eggs.
They do make great eggs. We get to collect, I don't know, maybe a dozen duck eggs a day, maybe a little less than that probably. But Amaponi is asking a question about Michael Jackson.
I gotta get back over there.
Yeah. Questions for Kate. That's valid too. She's here. She's part of the show. If you have a question for Kate, drop in. I'll let her answer. You want to answer that live, or do you want to do it in the chat?
Sure, I can answer it live.
Okay.
That happened in 1968, and he was just tiny, tiny. I don't think he was more than 2 or 3 years old at the time. He was very, very small. He had not even joined the Jackson 5 at that point.
Did he sing?
Not at that age. He could barely talk.
I didn't know if he went around dancing and humming.
No, not yet. He was toddling, but it wasn't very graceful at that point.
I'll bet not. That's a fun story. And by the way, I don't think we read the question, but Amaponian asked, when did you babysit Michael Jackson? So Kate has a streak of fame in her. All right. So let's see, what else? What other questions? Oh, Don Quixote says, how is your son doing in Norway?
Yes.
Well, that's a good question. We have been corresponding with him every day on WhatsApp, which is an international chatting app, a texting app. So we've been getting pictures and stories from him. He's also putting on a story he's trying to do, and I think he's managed to do, one story on Steemit every day to give a summary of his day with pictures and a brief description. So we get to see the activities that he's doing and the food that he's eating and just some of the stories that go along with that. And he is having a great time. He's loving Norway. He and his friend that's with him are just having a really good time over there, sharing in community. They are becoming a part of the family there in Norway and participating in the daily life and learning. Hopefully they're learning. He's supposed to be learning some language. Good language, no bad language. He's supposed to be learning some Norwegian while he's there, so he appears to be having a really good time, and I'm glad he's getting that experience.
Green Shell says, my Muscovy ducks are bums. They lay for 6 weeks in the spring, then nothing for the rest of the year. They're moochers.
Yes. So are the Australian spotted ducks that we have. It's a good thing that we have a small flock of large ducks, or else we would have no eggs most of the year.
Oh. Apparently, they've been getting a lot of rain where Kilted Gardner is, and he says he's going to post pictures of the flood in his area very soon.
Oh, my. I see that. Yeah, okay. Well, stay safe. Hopefully when you say flood, it's not a raging flood that tears houses. It's just something that you can easily work around safely. Easily and safely. Yeah, post questions in all caps so I will see them and Kate will see them. A lot of times I miss chat because I'm scrolling through fast. I'm trying to carry on. Like I said, if I were chewing gum, I'd be in trouble. I can't do too many things at one time.
We need an update on the green stock.
The Greenstock Garden, sure. And I noticed Xavier's asking about the fishes.
Yes.
Which fish?
I don't know. I told him about mine. He and I have been sharing about
Oh.
our fish, but
Oh, I do have some. I do have. Are you talking about fish tanks, aquariums? Oh, okay. I do have an aquarium, and that aquarium has. It's a small saltwater aquarium, saltwater, um, and it has two of the clownfish, the Nemo fish. I'm sure that they don't like being called Nemo fish, but we have two of those and a couple of corals, and they, for a while, they were struggling because I wasn't doing adequate water changes, but now I've been keeping up with it, and they're doing much better. They look really nice. Someday I'll have to post a picture of the aquarium because it really does look pretty. And what was the other question?
your green stock.
Greenstock, yes. So I really want to get this greenstock thing going. I have my garden, my greenstock garden is growing beautifully. It's producing strawberries and carrots and longevity spinach and cilantro, which is now turned to seed, which is the coriander. And so it looks really nice. It's performing beautifully. Now what I want to get going is that Greenstock has offered to give one away, and I need to get that contest organized so that you guys have a shot at winning a 5-tier Greenstock system with the wheeled cart, the little dolly that it goes on. So that will be a wonderful addition to somebody's garden or patio or
Yes.
back deck or whatever. But yeah, the Greenstock garden, I pulled a few carrots out of it the other day, and they're doing great. In fact, I'll probably be doing a harvest video coming up pretty soon, simply because, once we get into the heat of the summer, a lot of things are going to shut down, and I need to just get them out of the garden. So those carrots are going to have to come out.
Don Quixote wants to know, how old are your turtles?
A turtle update. Yes, so we have two tortoises, the African spur-thighed tortoise, commonly known as the sulcata, and excuse me, the there's one that is. Yesterday, Angie and I, my wife, Mama Curbs, was trying to figure out how old they are, because we have a general idea, but we often just throw out a number and we're probably a little wrong. I think we figured yesterday that Coco, our big boy, his name is Conan, but we call him Coco, and I think he's around 20 years old. And then Jack is, let's see, what did we discover yesterday? Hey, Daddykirbs girl. Walking through the live show. See, Jack is the smaller of the two turtles, the tortoises, and he is, I think we discovered, I don't know, young teens, 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that. I'll have to go back and ask Mama Curbs because I forget the numbers, but I remember Conan, or Coco, we call him Coco, was around 20 years old when we started to figure it out. And we're not figuring by counting the rings on his back or anything like that. There may be a way to do that, but we're just figuring, like, how long have we had him, and how old was he according to the stories that we got when we got him. So he's 19 or 20, and then Jack is somewhere around 10 or so.
How old do they live?
If conditions are right in a non-wild,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as a pet. From what I've heard, they can live 75, 80 years, maybe
Like
a
my
little
birds,
more.
they live a real
Yeah.
long life if they're
Yep.
cared for.
Yep. They actually have a very similar lifetime
Mm-hmm.
to humans. So they mature the same rate as humans, and then grow and age
Like we do
similar
as well.
to humans. Yeah. So, you know, they can go around 80 years or so, and so we really potentially could have Coco the rest of our lives and beyond.
And my
Both of
three
them.
birds will definitely have for the rest of our lives. They're the oldest one's 21, and they live to 100. And
Yep.
I'm in my late 60s, so I'm not going to outlive that bird.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So that's just, it's one of those pets that you kind of have to put in your will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody has to be willing to take
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
because it would be difficult to outlive your birds, because they do live 100 plus sometimes.
Right.
That's crazy.
We're having a discussion on here. Apparently, YouTube thinks that Sanson is some kind of a bot, and so it's trying to block his translation.
Oh.
So Wheatree said maybe we can make him a moderator, and that way he can translate with no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Because adding translations just makes the show, it gives it a broader audience.
Right.
So I don't think I can do that from here.
I have to do it after the
We'll
show.
do it after the show, yeah.
Amber says hello. Where'd it go? Hello from work and wishes she could be there. That's from.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, this is a garden, says that. Hey, Amber. Of course, she's not here, but hey, Amber.
Okay, next question. We're going to a new subject, folks. This is one everybody's interested in. Kombucha.
Kombucha. I've had a few
Yes.
kombucha questions.
Tara Behringer wants to know how you can visually tell the difference between mold and probiotic gook in the kombucha.
That's a good question, because a lot of people who start making kombucha, they see all of that activity in the brew and they think it's gross, like it's something bad. And it does go through a stage that looks really gross, but if it's mold, it turns colors, it turns patchy and fuzzy. The normal probiotic gook, as she describes it, the stuff that forms on the top, it's basically a developing SCOBY. It gets bubbly, it gets, sometimes it turns a little bit of browns and whites, but it looks kind of like snot, but it's not fuzzy, and it doesn't turn green or black or any of those colors. So if it's just looking like snot, I know it's gross, I'm sorry, but I don't know how else to say it.
Slimy.
Slimy. If it's just looking like that slimy layer, then that's probably a good thing, because that's going to turn into that nice solid white SCOBY that we need and that we want.
Okay, next question is from Lori409. She says, I'm on my first fermentation of my first batch of kombucha ever, and I'm the only person in my house that drinks it regularly. I'm worried if I start a new batch when I begin the second fermentation like you did on the video, I won't be able to drink it before it gets too sour. Will the SCOBY from my first batch be okay on the counter in some of the first fermentation until I'm ready to start the process again?
That's a good question too. They're all good questions. You don't have to make that next batch immediately. The reason I typically, when I was in the routine, I broke routine and I have actually lost my SCOBYs. I need to make some more. But I made mine continuously, you know, one batch after another, because we did drink it, and that's the only way I could keep up with the demand of the household. If you, let's just say one batch makes 12 pints for you. About that, Espen must have got on the show from Norway. So if your kombucha batch, let's say it makes 12 pints, and it takes you don't drink one every day, and you're drinking one a week, and let's say it takes you 12 weeks to drink, it is okay to put that SCOBY in a little bit of kombucha, and cover it, not sealed tight, but put a towel over it, rubber band around it, cover it up, put it in the pantry. You will be amazed how long that SCOBY will live in that little bit of kombucha in the pantry. It definitely will last more than a couple months. So I think I had one that I kind of forgot about, and it lasted more than 4 months. And it still probably could have lasted longer, but I used it again. And that was just because it was sitting in some of the kombucha vinegar, and it was happy. There is a thing called a SCOBY hotel, where people will put multiple SCOBYs in a jar and just add some kombucha. And every once in a while, they'll just add a little bit of sweet black tea to the hotel, and it keeps those SCOBYs happy in the pantry. I know a lot of people claim that putting their SCOBY in the refrigerator is how they keep them long term, but I've had bad luck with that. I had several SCOBYs because I was trying to follow some online recommendations, so I put them in the refrigerator and they turn gooey, and a SCOBY doesn't turn gooey unless it's bad. So I prefer to just keep them in a jar in some kombucha, occasionally feeding a little bit of sweet black tea, and they stay fine in the pantry for a while.
Okay, B. Stew has another question. Says, I bought a 7-liter glass jar with a spout because I want to do continuous brewing. So I'm starting with the sweet tea and 2 liters and a small SCOBY in it. I wait for 8 days to ferment it. After 8 days, can I add more liquid to the 7-liter jug with the SCOBY in it instead of removing the SCOBY?
Yes. One method, now I don't do this, but I've read about it and it makes sense if this is how you want to do it. So one method of doing the kombucha is a continuous brew instead of doing batches. I prefer doing batches, but some people prefer doing continuous brew, which is a larger, he's doing a 7-liter, he or she, doing a 7-liter container with a spout on the bottom. So the concept is that you make your kombucha, the SCOBY floats on, it doesn't have to float on top, but typically they're on top, and as you pour from the bottom, the whole thing goes down, and you add to the top. Yes, that is a method that you can use. Some people really love that method, and it works out fine. Now, I find it, for me, not, I can't control how much kombucha versus new black tea goes in there, and I like to have the exact same every time. So the continuous brew is a little bit of a variable. You're adding, unless you were very precise about letting it go down so far and adding the same amount, I don't know. But yes, you can absolutely do a continuous brew and just add to the top and let that SCOBY float back up. Or sink. It's okay if they sink.
Odo Pops put a comment in here. It says, tell your audience to click on the live chat, not the top chat button at the top of the chat box. Mine only has a top chat. It doesn't have anything else there. So I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, okay. And I don't ever see... Ooh, somebody's been visiting the chicken coop.
Oh, cool.
Look at that. How long is this?
Oh, it's a big one.
That's almost as wide as my arms will go, which is about, because I'm about 6.5 feet tall. Just kidding.
Cool.
So my arm span is about 5'8" or so, and this is going out, I'd say it's a good 5 feet. And that's all dried up, so this is probably a good 5.5 footer. That's a Texas black rat snake. Texas rat snake, not Texas black. Texas rat snake. You can see his head, his eyeballs there. You found it in the nest box?
Yeah, in the white box.
Ooh. Okay, so this guy was in there looking for eggs and decided to shed his skin up there. Eesh. Yeah, so my daughter here reports that this was found in the coop that has our favored silkies, and that is not good because that's a big snake and they can take a small chicken, and so a small-bodied silkie can become prey to one of those big 6-foot snakes.
Ruthie asked how kombucha tastes, and I told her, to me, it tastes kind of like a vinegary soft drink with lots of fuzzies.
Yep. Yeah, if you manage to get the fizzies, sometimes people don't, and it's not quite as fizzy, but it is like a vinegary tea. And if it's fizzy enough, it does taste and feel like a soft drink.
Yep.
Um,
Okay, the next one, and I'm afraid I can't even begin to pronounce the username. It looks like Les Toiletries Smears. How do I use lemongrass and mint to make kombucha? Do I still need black tea?
yes. Okay, so anytime you're wanting to add flavor to your kombucha, there are several ways to do it, but you absolutely do need black tea. Well, okay, some people make their kombucha out of green tea, which is not called kombucha at that point. It's called jung or jung. I forget the name. Anyway, kombucha is brewed from sweet black tea. Without sweet black tea, it's not kombucha. And if you're wanting to brew it with other kinds of tea, especially the teas that are flavored with oils, like your, what were the ones they mentioned?
Lemongrass and mint.
Lemongrass and mint. The lemongrass especially is an oily thing. I don't know about mint, may not be very oily. But anyway, adding the flavors to your kombucha while it's brewing is a bad idea because you can actually kill your SCOBY. Those oils in the flavors get up in the SCOBY and they can't do what they need to do because they get all contaminated. So if you want lemongrass and mint in your kombucha, my suggestion is that you can try a second ferment with that, but I would suggest even just having a glass of kombucha and putting your oils or your mint into that, letting it sit in the refrigerator for an hour and then drinking it. That way it infuses a little bit, but it doesn't have to sit and ferment longer with those oils in there.
And Tim Turner says that's called June tea, J-U-N-T.
June, yeah, okay, with no G. I was thinking it was J-U-N-G, but it's June tea, right? And that's the, as I understand it, that's like kombucha, but it's made with green tea.
And we also have Green Shell wants to know what the dry black tea ratio is to start kombucha. I thought you just made it like you were going to drink tea and then...
It is very much just like making tea. However you make your black tea, your black tea should be one ingredient, black tea. And because there's a lot of other teas that have other ingredients, there's orange teas and whatever. But just plain black tea and brewed according to however... What I do is if I get the normal tea bags, you know, the small single serving tea bags, I look at the package, and if it says that it takes 8 tea bags per gallon, which is usually the case with the small bags, then I make 2 gallons at a time. I'll use 16 tea bags. There's also the family size tea bags that's bigger, and I think usually it takes 2 or 3 of those, I can't remember, per gallon. So I would just make whatever the package, the box says, that's how I will make the tea. If you're using a loose tea, like bulk tea, then whatever the recommendation is for that, just make it according to the instructions of the tea, and then sweeten it to, gosh, I haven't made it in a while, and I just forgot. I think is it 1 or 2 cups? Whatever I said in my video. Follow my video on the sweetener.
I used 1 cup of sugar to a gallon of black tea.
Okay.
And that worked very well.
I think I was using 2. Anyway, whatever my video said, or sweeten it. It has to be sweet enough to give enough sugars to the bacteria and yeast. It's not just for your flavor, for your taste. It is for the bacteria and yeast. So make sure there's enough sugar in there for that.
And don't use water from the tap. Use filtered water so it doesn't have chlorine and other stuff in it, because that'll hurt the SCOBY as well.
Potentially tap water could hurt the SCOBY. Now, of course, that depends on your tap water, but a lot of times tap water has the chlorine and chloramines in them, and you don't want that in your tea. So I use filtered water that comes out of the refrigerator, and it has the filter strips out the chlorine.
Right. We have John Halfnecker says June tea is made with green tea and honey instead of sugar. And Green Shell wants to know if it will affect the kombucha if you make the tea ratio stronger. Probably make it a stronger kombucha.
Yeah, I've done that. I've added a few extra tea bags sometimes just because I want a good strong black tea. So yeah, you're fine doing that. But use at least the number that that's recommended to brew that black tea. Some people want to try to make it pretty good at restarting the YouTube app. Espen. Yeah, so anyway, we've been here for an hour, so we need to wrap the show up. I truly do appreciate. Do we have any questions that were outstanding from?
One other one was D. Johnny 2 wanted to know the SCOBY's at the bottom of his jar. Is it okay to leave it there? Or does he need to move it to the top?
Okay, kombucha question about the SCOBY. Some people get concerned about the SCOBY not floating real nicely on the top. That's okay. The SCOBY will still do its job. Sometimes they turn sideways and sink. Sometimes they lay on the bottom. That's okay. They will still do their job. So wherever that SCOBY is in the jar, it's fine. And that was the end of the questions that we had, right? Okay, so thank you for being with me this morning. It is always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much for my Venezuelan friends for joining me this morning and adding the translation so that we can, like Wheatery Bonsai said, making making my show borderless. I would love to have a translation to every language. Of course, that's dreamy, but having the Spanish translations is really cool. So thank you very much. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's been fun. Thank you very much, Kate, for sitting here with me. Thank you to my moderators who are around the world, actually, helping to make this show family friendly, because that is a goal of mine. That there's no junk. You can sit your kid in front of this show and know that they're not going to get any of the trash that they might get other places. So thank you very much to my moderators, and thank you for sitting and enjoying this time with me. I'll see you next week. I'll talk to you soon.